Hello everyone, welcome to this little video about learning how to handle form inside React Native. So in this episode, I'm gonna just show you how you can handle your form with Formik and Yup, two awesome tools I find like 3 months ago, and now I cannot live without them. So this is what I'm gonna show you. First thing I'm gonna talk about this library. So the first one, it's called Formik. So as say here, it's about building form in React without the tiers. So as you know, we all need to build form in an app, and we all think it's kind of pretty hard with React. I mean, like example, if you use stuff like Redux form and thing like that, you have so much to handle, and I mean and if you don't use any library, the thing is you're gonna have so many things to do if you want to do validation and thing like that. So Jared Palmer have created this library, and this one it's about like make use of React only, and making all your form with that. So they use render props and thing like this, and hire other component. So finally, this is how that's gonna look like. If you build that as a higher order component and you pass it like that, it's gonna look like a lot like Redux form. But if you pass it as a render props like we're gonna do, that's gonna be like that. You're gonna have your initial value and thing like that. Everything gonna be handled, so you don't need to handle that in your state. So as you can see in this one, they use a per function to make this form, so you don't need to handle state and nothing like that. So Formik gonna handle everything for you. Gonna handle your errors, gonna handle if you have touched the field, gonna handle also if you what is your value, it's your stuff, it's valid and everything like that. So this is what we're gonna see. And as you can see here, they say also for validation use Yup. So I start to use Yup in the same time. Now I use it also in my server. And Yup, it's kind of joy made by Happy.js, and they say here. And finally, this is just a kind of object validation, and they have so many things, like you can validate if this is an email, if this is a string, and things like that, and that can really help you. So for this tutorial, we're gonna make use of Yup, Formik. I'm gonna make use of React Native element, and I have started a project on Expo. Before jumping on this, if you want to know why I want to talk about this, I've just created a blog post. I'm gonna link that in this description, where I talk about how I manage my state in React. And one of them, I talk about form state, and I talk about why why use forming, and I think it's the best idea there. And the last thing I want to say before we start, if you ask, okay, yeah, but I like Redux form. If you read that here, why you say why not Redux form? First thing, Redux form it's 22 kilobyte, Formik is 12, so it's pretty smaller. But I mean, that don't make you happy. But look here, Redux form call your entire top level Redux reducer, like, because every time you hit your reducer, you call finally every reducer gonna receive something, and on every keystroke that's gonna be rendered, so you can lose some latency on each keystroke. So I think that's a good selling point right there. So we're gonna start. So I have a Visual Studio Code. I have started a project in Expo. I just did Expo in it. I mean, just for showing you how that work. After that, I've just run this command: yarn add Formik, Yup, and React Native element. Nothing more crazy about this. Just this three library, and that's it. I did that before just because I don't want to lose time on this part. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna just set up like almost like if we build a project. So we're gonna have a component folder, and inside this one we're gonna create your own version of an input. So this version of input, that's gonna be per component in React. And for now we're gonna just create a view and a text, just at least to see this in the screen. And this input is going to be just a view for now, with a text say I'm an input, like that. Now I need to change this to be a per component like this. Now inside my app, I can render this input just by getting it. So inside my src component input, now I can take this input and paste it right there. And now I'm supposed to see this in my screen. I'm an input, perfect. So we're gonna fake the fact that we build a sign up form. So we're gonna have 3 input, one for the email, and one for the password, and one for the confirm password. So the way we're gonna work, it's I want my input here to be whatever React Native element need, and this one gonna have all the function Formik gonna take for it, so we don't need to re-render every time inside the render function in the app. So you're gonna see what I mean in a moment. So in React Native element, how we work with form, it's we have 3 things. We have form input, form validation message for the error message, and we're gonna have the form label. Okay. After that, inside my view here, so this thing about it's gonna be like a container or something like that. Here I'm gonna have my form label. So I'm at label. After that, here I'm gonna have my form input. And finally, here I'm gonna have my form validation message where I can say error, just like this. So this is what we have here. First thing, I don't like the fact that he touched all the sides, so I'm gonna just get the style sheet, create just a plain style sheet with a root. I always call that the root, the first one. And finally, what I'm gonna put is just a width of 90%, so 90% of the container, and align self center just to make it in the center, and we're gonna pass the style right there, like this. So now at least we get to this point. Perfect. So now first thing we're gonna do inside the app here, I want to be able to have a label. So I'm gonna say email, password, and finally confirm password. And now I want to take this props right there. So I'm gonna say label is inside my props. So I destruct this one, and now I can pass it right there. Okay, perfect. Email, password, confirm password. After that, here I want to pass a placeholder about email like that. And here I want to say the same for placeholder and thing like this. So for me, my label gonna be the same as my placeholder. So I'm gonna make use of this one to make my placeholder equal as the label. So this way I just write this one time. Perfect. So now I'm here. So now I can put stuff. Perfect. This is what we need. Okay, so now first thing I'm gonna just change one thing. It's first thing you see, I always put the uppercase letter and I don't like it. So how we change that in React, it's we have auto capitalize to none. So all of them gonna have it. You can make your own function for this. It just to go quickie. And now here I'm gonna spread. I'm gonna get the rest of my props and I'm gonna pass it there. So my form input gonna get always all the rest I pass. So now if I enter, I don't get the first letter uppercase. After that, what I want to do is I want to get the secure text entry for both the password and the confirm password. So now when I enter, I get this thing. Perfect. And last thing we need before we jump on the logic, it's a button. Where I'm gonna have a button right there with the title of submit. And this button right there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just create button here with a margin top of 20 and a width of 100%, and I pass it right there. So that's gonna be a button style and style.button. Perfect. At least we get something. Yeah, and maybe just last thing, I put background color to blue. And now we are set to go. Perfect. So now as you can see here, we have the error message, and I mean, we're gonna need to fix that. And also first thing here, the email, nothing to keep track of this thing. Like the only way for me to get the value here is gonna be to go with ref, because I don't handle that in my state or nothing like that. So my input component here, because they have like, it's almost like stateless right now, they don't handle all the states. So the only way I can handle to receive the value is going to be with the ref, but I don't like to use it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make use of Formik to handle everything about this for us. So how we handle that with Formik, it's first thing we're going to import Formik from Formik, and from here I'm going to pass it right there. So Formik, it's a function, it's a component finally who can receive an initial value props. So the initial value, it's almost like what we put in the state when we create a form before. So we're gonna say email, it's an empty string, password is an empty string, and confirm password, it's an empty string. Okay. After that, one thing we really need, it's onSubmit. So the onSubmit function, it's when the function, the form gonna be submit, they're gonna trigger this one. And so we're gonna create it. So that's gonna be called handle submit. So handle submit gonna receive value. And for now, I'm gonna alert, I'm gonna import it. JSON that stringify the value. After that, we have access to the render for the render props. So this one, take a function and return like a children right there. But now, because I don't want to pass a view and thing like this, I'm gonna make use of react.fragment because I don't want to wrap it inside a view. And I'm gonna cut all this part right there. So right now, if I do this, nothing has changed. Everything keep the same. But now, Formik inside this inside this children props right there, we have access to values and all the stuff. So this is what we're gonna need: values, and we're gonna need for now, yeah, just values. So all values work. It's values. It's an object. So if you pass value here, we can say values.email because this is the name of this one. If we say here value equal values.password. And for this one, value equal values.confirm password. So this way, we control the input data. And because we do .rest, this value come to the form input, and form input can accept value right there inside this one. It can receive the value. Perfect. So now, when I enter here, I get the same thing. And just for showing you, inside this render, we have access to the handle submit function. So the handle submit is when you want to submit finally, and this thing can be passed in the on press of this button. So now if I put some data here, here, and here, and I click submit, we get like nothing. Why? It's because the value, like we don't change the value. This is what happened. So what we need to do is we need to change it. If you use React Web, that's gonna be handled for you for free. But React Native, they cannot do this. And the way we need to make it yourself. And this is why we're gonna make use of set field value. And all these props are really simple to find in the docs. They have like if you scroll down right there, you have all the stuff you need. And inside one of them, you have the set field value, where they say finally set the value of a field imperatively, where you put finally the field name and the value. That's it. So for this one, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a function called onChange, a props called onChange, and I'm gonna pass the set field value, and also I'm gonna pass a name props, and I'm gonna give it the names. So you see names password and the onChange, it's gonna be the set field value. You're gonna see why in a moment. So now I can pass this like that, pass email, and I can paste it right there last time, and now that's gonna be confirm password. So now by doing this, why I do this, it's now I can create here inside my input a handle change function, who here this one is gonna receive some value, and this one gonna call this that props that onChange, so the function we just have passed as a callback. And this one, you take two arguments, take the name, so this that props that name, and you take the value like that. And now inside your form input, you can pass the onChange text, and you just pass this that handle change. So now by doing this, if I put an email, a password, and a confirm password, and I click submit, now all of them get the data inside the Formik component. So one thing is done here. So now we have the value, and yeah, I mean, It's pretty nice for this thing right now. So now what I would like is I would like to have some validation, because right now look here, it's not an email and it's not a password, blah blah blah. Like, I mean, yeah, it kind of a password, but this one don't match this one here. So how can we do this? So inside Formik, we can pass a Yup object from the library Yup I just installed, and this one here we can pass it here as a validation schema. So validation schema take a Yup object with a shape, and now here you pass the shape you want. So for now we're gonna just do the email. So Yup that string, so email, it's a string, this is an email, and this is require. So now sorry, Formik gonna receive the error of validation from Yup, and he's gonna give us this thing coming from the error object. So now if we pass error, we can pass right there. So here that's gonna be error.email, error here gonna be error.password, and for the input, the error is gonna be error.confirm password. And now this error, I can take it from here, and now here I can pass it right there as a props, not as a prop but as a variable. And now you see we don't have anymore the error, but now you see we get the email must be a valid email and things like that, like the one we get from Yup. So Yup, when you see it's not a valid email, so it's triggered right there, gonna show this error message. If you don't put nothing, it's require field, because you're gonna handle from this one. If you want to change any message, you can change it from there. So here I'm gonna say not valid email, and now here I'm gonna say email is required. So now by doing this, when you're gonna see this one is required, you're gonna send my message, and when it's not valid, you're gonna send the message I put right there. So this is my own message, so you can really custom your stuff. But now the thing is, if I refresh, if I click here and I click there, Formik don't really know like this one, like I've been touched, because again, it's not like in the web, he cannot handle the blur from himself. So we need to handle the blur for him. And also, I don't want to show a message if I don't touch nothing. So that's why we're gonna need two things: touch, and we're gonna also need the set field touch. So for the error, I just want to show the error if we get touch, and I send the error email. So if you see what I do, finally, it's I say I want to have an error only if my field is touch, and I have an error message finally. And I'm gonna do the same here. Oops. Like that. And now here what I'm gonna just do is I'm gonna say if I have an error, and now I can pass this from validation message. Perfect. But now I need to handle the touch, so I'm gonna call on touch, and I'm gonna pass my set field touch. It's gonna be the same logic as the onChange. So now if I do this, my input right there gonna have a function called handle touch, and this one gonna call this that props that on touch, and you're gonna pass the name, because if you look in the Formik doc, if you look to set field touch right there, set the touch state of a field imperatively. So the same thing, take a field, that's it, and I don't really need to put a boolean, he's gonna do this by himself. And now I'm gonna do this inside the on blur. So callback that is called when the text input is blurred. So this is what we want. So this the handle touch. So now by doing this, at the second I click on my email and I go away, email is required now. So you see, so now you let the user to know, okay, my email is required, but at least you don't show this error message at the beginning. So at the moment you type and you go away, email is required. If I start to type an email, nothing is problem, but now if I go away, not a valid email. And now if I make it valid, boom, the error go away. Now we're gonna handle the error also for the password. So password, we want it to be a string with a minimum of 6 characters, and I want it to be required. So just by doing this, look here, this one line of code here, gonna make my password doing the same error. And now here, if I say, you see, we get this error message coming from Yup by default. Now the one's gonna be, okay, how can I make my confirm password to match this one? It's gonna be pretty simple. Kind of, I mean, when you get use of it, it's gonna be simple. So you say confirm password. So remember, this value match the initial value right there every time. So this one's gonna be yup.string, and that's gonna be a one off. So this one off here, you can reference something you have take before. So here what I mean, it's you can pass here as an array, and you can say yup.ref. So I want to reference the password we have right there. And now inside the ref, you have the path and some option. And for now, I'm gonna just put null for the option. And the second thing you need to put, it's gonna be the message you want to put. So if you see one of arrays values and the message, so they always have the message almost as a second argument. So confirm password must match password. Okay. And also this one, I want it to be required. This is, yeah. And now here I'm gonna like that. So now what that means, it's now if I click here, confirm password is a required field, password, blah, blah, blah. Now if I say my password 123, if I type, at the moment I get 3, boom, now I get it. So now this confirm password, you're gonna keep the reference of the password, you're gonna check to make sure that's gonna match this one right there. And now, like, I mean, if you want to make it like other message you have like that, then you can do the same here, or you can even create a function if you want for that. So now all the message gonna look the same like that. Now the other thing is, look here, I can click this submit button right there, and I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do, it's inside the render prop. Again, we have the function, not the function, but a boolean called isValid. So finally, Formik give you a boolean if the form is valid or not. So inside the button, we can pass a disable function, and we're gonna say I want it to be disabled if it's not valid. So now you see the button, I cannot click over it. So now if I say hello, password 123, password 123, it keep invalid. But now if I say gmail.com, now I can click submit, and now I get my feel about everything. So now, just by doing this, we have handled everything. But now I want to handle, like, if I get a crash or something like that from my API. So what I'm gonna do, it's we're gonna just make an API, a fake API here. So it's gonna be a function. We're gonna call a new promises, take resolve and reject as a callback, and this API gonna receive a user value. So that's gonna be all the value from the Formik. Here we're gonna put a set timeout just to fake a server of 3 seconds. And here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say if user.email equal hello.gmail.com, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reject. So remember, just fake. So I'm gonna reject with the email error. We say, sorry, I'm gonna fail with an object like that, and I'm gonna say email already used, just like this. Else, I'm gonna resolve. Sorry, else like this. So just plain promises, nothing more crazy. So now here I can handle that inside a try catch. Here inside my try catch, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just say await. So I need to make it as an async function. Await API, and I pass all the value. Remember, this thing is the object of all your values. And after it's done, I'm gonna say alert. The alert welcome. That's it. When I have an error now, what I'm gonna do, it's as a second value inside your handle submit. So if you look inside handle submit, handle submit, take a value in a Formik bag. So value is the object, and the Formik bag, it's all the stuff about Formik you can do, and this is all the stuff you can do. You can set error, set fill error, set salus, set touch, set submitting. So what I want is when it's wrong, I want to finally say the submitting is going to be false. So here I'm going to have my bag. I'm going to say bag that set submitting to be false, and I want also to set the errors. So my error going to match the error I passed right there. So now just by doing this, look what's gonna happen. I'm gonna say hello gmail.com, but for now I'm gonna say hello to password 123, password 123. So now if I submit, I get welcome. I click 2 times, that's why we get that. And now we're gonna handle this, don't worry. But now if I say hello gmail.com, email already used. So you see, so we stop the submitting and we send the error email. So email is the field, email already used. So Formik push your error message to this field. And now as you can see, the submit, it's came disabled because Formik, remember, in this one it's not good, like this is an error. So now if I change it, now I can submit. So like at least the user need to change it. But now, did I change something? Okay, but now one thing, it's like right now when I click submit, we have nothing to show to the user, and we really call the backend, you see? Like I just think the app is crashed. And so what we can do, it's inside Formik, we have the set submitting. So set submitting, it's finally this thing return a boolean when finally you are in the submitting mode. So what you can do here is you can set loading when it's submitting. Is submitting the set submitting. One second. Is submitting. Oh, sorry, is submitting. Okay, and I want to disable also if it's valid or is submitting. I don't want the user to click 2 times. So now if I do hello.gmail.com, password 123, password 123. Now if I click submit, you see the loading, and now I cannot even click. So the user cannot click 2 times to do 2 API call finally. And now if I change that to be hello2gmail.com, now I finish. And now you get it. And now because I don't say set submitting file, we don't stop, but we don't really need, because now we can maybe push the user to somewhere else in your app. But now you see at least all the value of Formik. Yes, it's maybe kind of, okay, yeah, it's a big kind of chunk of code, copy and pasting, like you can make it a bit more dry. But the thing is, this thing gonna remove you so many pain with the form. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we get less bug with this kind of stuff now, the job, and I mean, you handle almost everything. An example, if you think this thing do too much, like create just a form component, like a logging form, and this one's gonna be just this kind of logic. You don't need to handle that in Redux. And also, if you don't like that, also remember you can use of the higher order component. So you can with Formik. So with Formik, it's the higher order component with that. So you can create your own function. So I think it's at the top. So you can create your own function in our form like that. And after that, you just create your form, you pass your validation and all your stuff, and that's it. And yeah, I mean, I mean, for me, I think it's just kind of crazy. It's really nice. And yeah, so that's it for this episode. I hope you learned something. I hope that makes sense. I hope you see why, for me, I think all the forms should be handled in React, and now with Formik, it just makes so much sense. For my blog post, I'm gonna put the link in the description, and also I'm gonna push this code inside a new GitHub repo. I'm gonna call that React Screencast. I want to do more of this kind of video. So, and I already know what's going to be the next one. The next one's going to be about making a multi-step form in React with React component, with a React component strategy. So I'm pretty sure that can be kind of helpful for you. So I hope you enjoy, and let me know in the comment if you like this video. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.